Over the last 30 years, there's not a single band that is as instantly recognisable visually than the White Stripes. With their signature peppermint-inspired white and red look, from Jack White's outfits, his iconic airline guitar, Meg's peppermint drum kit, and even their crew, they carved out a unique look that would be recognisable way beyond their music. The White Stripes' raw, blues-inspired garage rock is even more powerful than their signature look. Starting in the 90s and releasing powerhouse songs like Fell in Love with a Girl, Dead Leaves and the Dirty Grounds, Americana-inspired Hotel Yorba,
39 times that I love you to the beauty I have found.
and the octave fuzz powerhouse that is Blue Orchid.
Blues, something better than others. Something better than others. Get a little love.
With 3 albums under their belt already, The White Stripes, D-Style, and White Blood Cells, it wouldn't be until 2003 when The White Stripes would enter the now legendary Toy Rag Studios in London, an all-analogue time capsule of decades past, to record their new album, Elephant, with huge songs like Black Math, Ball and Biscuit, and I Just Don't Know What to Do with Myself. Today we're going to look at by far their biggest and most iconic song. What makes it so great and memorable 21 years later, from its raw, energetic drums from Meg White to its iconic bass range guitar riff and the super powerful all-instrumental choruses. Let's dive right into it. The song opens with one of the most iconic bass lines of all time, which isn't even a bass, before Meg comes pounding in with some attitude-filled drums and Jack White delivers the first vocal line of the song.
I'm gonna fight 'em off. I said the nation.
From a production standpoint, the song is quite simple, and so it should be. There is significant bleed in the drum mics, meaning they set up in a room and recorded this song live, most likely adding the bass range guitar and double tracking guitars after the fact to make the song sound larger than life. Combine that with using all analog gear just like they did in the 50s and 60s, produces a super unique, raw, full bandwidth sound that comes assaulting out of the speakers. They even limited themselves to using all analog 1-inch tape with only 8 tracks. Meg White usually used Ludwig drum kits, so we can assume that's what she used on this song. However, they could have used any in-house drum kit at the studios as well. Now let's take a look at the juicy part, Jack White's guitar playing. From the bass part, Jack White ran his guitar through a Digitech whammy to get the octave down sound, and then a big muff pedal to add some grit to the bass sound, mixed with a more conventional guitar part played an octave up, which is soaked in a bunch of drippy spring reverb. Jack White is most well known for using his red and white airline guitar, but instead, on Seven Nation Army, he opted for a K hollow body that he covered in paper to try and tame the unruly feedback, tuning it to open A to deliver that fat, lo-fi sound we hear on the record. He also usually likes to use a Silvertone Twin as well as a Twin Reverb live, but sources say that on this record, he used an old Selmer Zodiac Twin to get the legendary sounds on this album, which was possibly mixed with his Twin Reverb, and both of the amps are mic'd up, mixed in with some heavy spring reverb on the main riff to get that drippy texture we hear on the original. Mix that with some dripping bass and you get that huge iconic riff sound. Liam Watson, producer of Elephant, said they had a very unusual approach to recording the lead vocals on this album. They would dual mic Jack's voice, one with a large diaphragm Neumann and the second with an SM57, that would then run through a small guitar amp, and they would then mic up that guitar amp as well to add texture and grit to the otherwise polished vocal take.
Back and forth through my mind behind a cigarette, and a message coming from my eyes says leave it alone.
Elephant by the White Stripes is still their most popular song, and is almost completely detached from the band at this point, being one of the most iconic riffs of the last 30 years, and even in many football chants. It's amazing the sheer impact and cult following this classic song has gathered all whilst not even having a traditional chorus part. What song would you like me to look at next? Let me know down in the comments and I'll see you next time.